What's up, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have some interesting news concerning the Moon Knight series as well as Thor Love and Thunder, and their obvious connection concerning the Egyptian gods and the mythos of the gods that is set to be re-explored and expanded upon this July in Love and Thunder, with the arrival of the Greek gods and the Norse gods meeting with the Greek gods for the first time on screen. With this though, we also have expansions about the Egyptian gods in Moon Knight, and how one of the major players in Thor Love and Thunder, Gorr the God Butcher himself, was set to play a major role off screen in Moon Knight, but ultimately the writers cutting this decision. So let's go ahead and break it all down here. First though, according to our analytics, a lot of you guys that watch the channel haven't actually subscribed yet. So if you want to stay up to date with everything Marvel Universe related, hit that subscribe button. Now watchers, let's get into it. Gorr the God Butcher is of course the main antagonist in Love and Thunder, and is a character in the comic books that absolutely despises the gods because in his moment of need, all he had to turn to was the gods, and they ultimately never answered his call, therefore causing him to deem all gods his absolute enemy and begin a quest for their ultimate annihilation. Gorr the God Butcher is obviously set to be played by Christian Bale this July. With this, it makes sense that there would be a connection with Gorr the God Butcher as well as the Egyptian gods, as Gorr obviously does not discriminate between what kind of god he ultimately pursues and desires to kill. In a brand new interview, the Moon Knight head writer, Jeremy Slatter, quote, revealed how at one point in time the series referenced the events of Thor Love and Thunder, namely that of Christian Bale's God Butcher. In an interview with The Direct, the head writer of Moon Knight said this when asked how much Thor Love and Thunder influenced Moon Knight. Quote, both a lot and a little, but the reality is that we had no idea when we started working on the show. We didn't know when we were debuting. We always sort of assumed it would be later down the road, and we would sort of be coming in the fall of 2022, and then we thought we would probably be following Thor Love and Thunder from theaters, but at the time, Thor didn't necessarily have a concrete release date either. Everything was sort of up in the air, and it's like we might be ahead of Thor or we might be finishing up. So there were different versions of the script ultimately where the gods would sort of talk about Gorr the God Butcher and what just happened with him. And now we've got this new problem. And then there were other versions of the script where they were sort of talking about hearing rumors that the gods were dying, and this is not the right time to get involved. Like, we tried to have our cake and eat it too. We had versions of Moon Knight that sort of teased Gorr's arrival, and the ones were sort of taking place in the aftermath of that movie. Ultimately, at some point, Marvel just made the creative decision, that we don't necessarily need this, and there didn't seem like an organic way to pop in Gorr the God Butcher in episode 3 during the Eckardt scene. We sort of felt like it had nothing to do with the current story that we were telling, but there's a thing happening over here. I think Marvel is getting very smart about how they sort of work out these things and references and cameos, and they'll do it if it makes sense, but they won't do it if it will hurt the story. And they don't do it simply for the sake of doing it. In terms of what we can break down from the head writer talking about Moon Knight and references to Gorr the God Butcher, it makes sense why they would ultimately want to premiere Moon Knight before the events of Thor Love and Thunder. If Love and Thunder has the consequences on the universe that we all believe it will, that being someone, an extremely powerful entity hunting gods, this would obviously be something that the Egyptian gods in Moon Knight would take of note. And it appears as if they even had reference to it originally when they were unsure whether or not Moon Knight would come out before or after Love and Thunder. So it makes sense why they would want to cut this, but it is interesting nonetheless that they did include a reference to Gorr the God Butcher and the events of Love and Thunder, and the idea that Gorr may actually be hunting the Egyptian gods as well as the Norse and Greek gods as well, and the idea that the ramifications were looming large. By the sounds of what the writer is saying, it also appears as if this may have been a major reason why the gods are ultimately in hiding in Moon Knight, as they obviously want to be harder to track down because Gorr is actively hunting the gods at the time. Whether or not this is a major plot point in Thor Love and Thunder is unknown, but it's clear even by the events of Moon Knight that the Egyptian gods are likely not among the most powerful iterations of the gods in the MCU. So again, it would make sense why they would want to go into hiding. But anyway, my friends, what are your thoughts on this? And what are your thoughts on this deleted concept and mention of Gorr the God Butcher and Moon Knight? Do you feel like it would have been an appropriate reference? And what do you hope to see from Gorr the God Butcher this July in Love and Thunder? Again, my friends, thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and I hope you have a great day.